This is a tale of what happens when a star player decides they're bigger than their team, their contract, or the league that made them, and gets knocked down faster than a bounce pass in traffic. Meet DeWanna Bonner, a multi-time WNBA All-Star, a former champion, someone who had everything to gain from mentoring the next generation. But instead, she abruptly quits mid-season, walks out on her teammates, including rookie phenom Caitlin Clark, demands a team she personally prefers, and suddenly no one wants her. This isn't wishful thinking or sensational speculation. It's cold, hard facts. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. And the way things have unfolded spells instant karma for Bonner. Here's how it all went down, and why it matters for her, for Clark, and for the entire WNBA. 1. The departure that changed everything. When the Fever needed veteran leadership the most, Bonner did the unthinkable. She quit. Not at season's end. Not after a trade. Right in the middle of a precarious rebuilding season. Without warning. Without explanation. Without loyalty. She left Caitlin Clark and a roster already struggling with identity to fend for themselves. In a small league like the WNBA, everyone matters. In that moment, Bonner proved she didn't. Fans saw it. Teammates felt it. Clark? She was left both physically and emotionally exposed. As one of the few voice of reason figures Bonner could have been, she instead became a ghost, taking proven consistency and leaving only uncertainty behind. 2. Off the waivers, off the radar, Bonner was waived, and theoretically, her full salary remained hers. That sounds like good news? Not exactly. In the WNBA's waiver system, other teams could claim her contract, but they haven't. Not a single team has stepped up. Why? Because between her mid-season exit and the perception that she's unprofessional, teams see negative value. She tried playing hardball, telling every team except Phoenix Mercury, where her partner plays, not to claim her. She banked her next move on Phoenix's interest. But guess what? Phoenix hesitated. They reassessed the risk to their successful culture. The result? No takers. No safety net. That's karma, and it's instant. 3. Phoenix. Not worth the disruption. Even a playoff-ready team like Phoenix Mercury wasn't convinced. Why? Because they built something fragile yet powerful: cohesion. Balance. Culture that wins, not just stars. Phoenix evaluated Bonner's value as a player, her leadership, her talent, her character, and decided joining would hurt more than help. Team leaders whisper culture first, and Phoenix coaches are echoing it. Meanwhile, Bonner remains safely unclaimed. That's leadership, and one of the harshest rejections she could have gotten. Being labeled an unnecessary disruption in a championship-level locker room. 4. The contract will likely go unfilled and unpaid. Bonner made a bet: walk away, and Phoenix will take care of you. But she miscalculated. Every game she skips, every decision she fights over, is costing her, not just reputationally, but financially. With her contract unclaimed, salary goes uncollected. Everyday idle is $500 to $1,000 lost. Contracts in the WNBA aren't thrones. They're calendars that pay while you play. Bonner is currently refusing that income in hopes of a lateral move. Her leverage is evaporating, and so is her paycheck. 5. The moral hazard of a mid-season walkout. This isn't the NBA. The WNBA is a tight-knit community. With 144 total roster spots, everyone's actions echo. Bonner didn't just quit. She abandoned. And throughout the league, murmurs are growing. That affects her long-term value and credibility. Other players and front offices are taking notes, and not impressed. This move rewrote the coding of professional behavior in the league, and Bonner is now marked as a cautionary case study. 6. The fallout in Indiana. Back in Indiana, Caitlin Clark and a young Fever team have been left reeling. Leadership vitamin, gone. Veteran voice, silent. Playoff inspiration, evaporated. Clark publicly stated that the team had to adapt immediately. But behind the scenes, there's hurt, confusion, betrayal. Questions being asked off camera. How you mentor future stars when your veterans aren't there for you. A mid-season blow like this leaves cracks, some so deep They're practically structural. Restoring trust? That will take more than temporary fixes. 7. A warning to future stars. Bonner's situation isn't just personal misfortune. It's a platform-shaking warning to rising talents in the league. If you walk mid-season, your reputation follows you. If you control your next landing, teams will control your legacy. If you demand special treatment, everyone wins except you. The message Bonner sent? I'm too big to stick with my team. And now the league can't help but reply. Then you'll find no place to land. 8. Why loyalty still matters. Why is this so damaging? Because loyalty costs nothing in a system that demands everything. In the WNBA, roster spots are precious. Veteran spots are earned. Trust and reliability are more valuable than any stat line. When creativity, grit, and backbone are overshadowed by demands, teams lose interest. And fast. Bonner gambled on emotional priority over professional consistency, only to discover that in the WNBA, character is a coin of the realm, not individual star power. 9. How teams really evaluate talent. Front offices aren't swayed by name recognition. They're driven by data and relationships. When evaluating Bonner, they look across categories: performance, culture, interview performance, behavior under pressure. Every box she now failed carries weight. A player refusing to report, a player abandoning teammates, a player ranking her relocation above securing commitment. Every check mark they'd tick right before is now erased. 10. What this means for Phoenix. Phoenix, at least for now, avoided chaos and set an important precedent. Chemistry isn't optional. Role players who fit are critical. Culture-protective front offices enforce soft red lines. Bonner's EPSB, exit player standoff behavior, isn't just inconvenient. It was a potential disruption weight they didn't need. Phoenix sets the bar. Loyalty matters. WNBA isn't about a free market for wandering veterans. It's about community, and what feels right can't always be forced. 11. Bonner's brand demolished overnight. The irony will sting. Efforts to gain comfort and proximity, following her partner, compromise a brand she built. Sponsors look at the scandal and see unreliability. Fans scroll Twitter and read tiny trust ruptures. Bonner, who once landed magazine covers and brand deals, is now a lead pariah. That shift was instant and irreversible. The WNBA is protection-based. Sweep it under the rug? Someone sees the dust. Brush it aside? The residue remains. 12. Caitlin Clark deserves better. Clark didn't ask for this. She's putting on a show every night in an unstable system, only to have a veteran quit mid-flight and leave the door open behind her. What message does that send to future recruits? Veterans can bail. Coaches can scramble. Star players can be left in limbo with no backup. That's a lead Clark might not want to stick around for. And she's not alone. 13. League-wide implications. The integrity question. The WNBA faces a reckoning. Do feel-good stories and part-time commitments set the tone? Bonner's walkout and self-directed waiver protocol challenge integrity rules. Contract exists for a reason, even in 12-team pipelines. If players can opt out at whim, what stops others from doing the same? In small leagues, rules are everything. Look at MLB, NFL. Contracts work until you break them. Bonner broke hers. And now the league is left asking, where's the cost? Where's the standard? Where's the accountability? 14. Phoenix's reversal. The bulletin of culture. Phoenix just showed an unspoken truth. Success takes sacrifice. No one there expected Bonner to fit. Not with what they have going. Not with culture as fragile as it is strong. That rejection of a high-profile name marks a shift in league tone. These are not success thieves. They're business as usual realists. 15. The cold winds of industry reality. Fail to honor your commitments or bend the league's rules, and you run out of places to land. That's not rocket science. It's common sense. And WNBA front offices agree. Bonner is learning that the WNBA does not reward second chances built on abandonment. In small leagues like this, every move echoes. 16. Where DeWanna goes from here. Her options are razor thin. Withdraw demands, accept a reopening of waivers, issue a heartfelt apology, rebuild connections. Understand that discipline matters, especially in professional tunnels. Without turning headlines into humility, she risks losing her career by next offseason. 17. What the Fever and Clark need now. Indiana needs closure. Tie the Bonner chapter into team accountability. Use veteran leadership. Find real stability. And publicly support Clark. Clark hearing no means she gets to understand the why and what's next. Because the longer the cliffhanger lingers, the more tension permeates. 18. A broader moral for the league. This club isn't made for cowards, fair-weather pros, or self-serving stars. It's built by collective trust, mutual respect, co-invested outcomes. You don't walk on your team mid-season, then reshape front office relationships in your favor. You don't expect the WNBA to carry your narrative when you've broken theirs first. Bonner's exit, and the silence from those she demanded silence from, ought to be a bell for every team, every executive, every sponsor. There's no shortcut to respect in this league. 19. Instant karma isn't a metaphor here. DeWanna Bonner might have walked away looking for comfort, and now she's stuck without it. She wanted Phoenix. Now she's unwanted. She gambled on her loyalty and came up empty. This is instant karma. Delivered cold, delivered public, delivered perfect. In the WNBA, there's no upward bounce for character fail. Just echoes. 20. The final truth. Culture is real currency. Contract walk. Culture doesn't. Team cohesion costs leverage. Abrupt exits cost careers. For DeWanna Bonner, this might be more than a rough season. It could be a permanent detour from the league she once served so well. She made herself unjoinable. And in a league that can't ad free, her departure signals something unfixable. Unless the root problem is fixed at home, the fallout, how Bonner's decision is reshaping locker rooms across the league. It's not just the Indiana Fever feeling the ripple effect of Bonner's mid-season departure. The entire WNBA is taking notes. In team meetings and quiet corners of practice facilities, coaches and front office execs are talking, not about Bonner's stats or her resume, but about what her exit means for team dynamics and the league's unspoken rules. Because when one veteran bails, every player left behind starts wondering, is this normal now? Is loyalty optional? This isn't about control, it's about standards. And Bonner's choice cracks something deep in the system. Teammates are now questioning roles. Young players are unsure whom to trust. Veterans who've been quietly grinding for years, without spotlight or drama, are privately furious. And they have every right to be. You can't sell league unity on billboards while letting someone torch that unity behind closed doors. Silent leaders are speaking volumes. Not every response needs to be loud. Some of the most powerful messages come from the players not tweeting, not posting, not calling Bonner out publicly, but showing up, grinding, and staying committed to their teams through the chaos. Think of the quiet pros, the players who've never made a scene, who take pride in mentorship and resilience. They're watching the situation closely. They see who's held accountable and who gets a pass. And if Bonner walks back into a cushy landing spot, that silence could turn into quiet resentment league-wide. Because when one player breaks the code and walks free, what incentive do others have to stay grounded? This is where leadership matters, not just on the court, but in how the league draws a line. The mental toll on Clark, isolation in the spotlight. While the headlines spin around Bonner, we can't forget who got left behind in this mess. Caitlin Clark. She was already carrying the weight of an entire franchise revival, drowning in expectations, dealing with contact that would warrant ejections in any other league. And then Bonner, one of the few experienced teammates who could have helped stabilize her, bounced. That's not just abandonment. It's betrayal by example. Clark is learning the hardest lesson of pro sports the worst way possible. Not everyone's in it with you. And that kind of disillusionment doesn't fade after one bad season. It lingers. It changes how you trust people. It makes every future handshake come with a mental asterisk. The WNBA has to be extremely careful right now, because if Clark begins to mentally disengage from this league's culture, It won't just be her performance that suffers. It'll be fan loyalty, too. The agents and sponsors are watching. Here's something no one's talking about yet. The money people are watching. Agents, endorsement partners, brand execs. Everyone who's invested in Bonner or Clark is assessing risk, and Bonner's move is a flashing red warning. If a star with years of credibility can blow up her standing in one move, what's the liability of investing in WNBA players at all? What's the return on trust? Brands don't want to attach themselves to unpredictability. They want athletes who elevate their image, not cause boardroom headaches. Bonner's misstep didn't just hurt her rep. It could spook potential deals for others in the league. Because when trust breaks in one corner, the tremors spread. What Bonner misunderstood about leverage. Bonner believed she had leverage, that her resume gave her the right to demand destination, that she could bend the system because of who she was. But leverage isn't about the past. It's about present value. And here's the truth. Bonner's production was declining. Her age puts her in the twilight of her career. Her exit created turmoil instead of solutions. She overestimated what she meant to a league that's trying to look forward, not backward. And that miscalculation has left her unclaimed, unpaid, and most damning of all, unwanted. The player empowerment debate gets complicated. This isn't just about Bonner. It's about how we define player empowerment in the WNBA. Yes, players should have a say in their careers, but empowerment doesn't mean abandoning accountability. When Bonner walked, she didn't just exercise choice. She tested the boundaries of what professionalism means in this league. Now the league has to decide, is this the model of freedom they want to endorse? Or will they draw a line between empowerment and entitlement? Because if every player thinks they can control their exit strategy mid-season, chaos becomes policy. Could this spark a policy change? Don't be surprised if the fallout from this forces the WNBA to tighten rules around mid-season exits. We could see new clauses about conditional waivers, tighter restrictions on players dictating landing spots, contractual penalties for conduct that disrupts team cohesion. The league might not say it's because of Bonner, but everyone will know. This moment could be the tipping point for how the WNBA protects itself from being gamed by individual agendas. Because once trust is broken, rules need to do the job that Goodwill can't. Redemption? Only if she earns it. Is there a path back for Bonner? Technically, yes. But it won't be easy, and it shouldn't be. Redemption in this league has to come with humility, not negotiation. If Bonner wants another shot, she needs to acknowledge the damage, rebuild bridges with teammates and staff, show up willing to be a role player, not a priority. Anything less, and she's just doubling down on the problem. The ball's in her court, but it's on her to earn possession again. What the WNBA must learn from this. Let's be blunt. The WNBA is at a crossroads. It wants to be taken seriously by networks, by sponsors, by the sports world. But serious leagues don't tolerate drama that derails seasons and fractures trust. This Bonner saga is a stress test. If they let it slide, they'll invite more instability. If they respond with clear consequences, they'll signal that professionalism still matters. The league doesn't have the luxury of looking the other way. Not now. Not with viewership rising. Not with new fans watching for how they handle crisis. The legacy you leave isn't always the one you planned. Bonner had a stellar career. Multiple all-star appearances. Playoff moments. A championship. She could have ended the season as a respected vet, a role model, a mentor to the next era. Instead, she's now a footnote in a much bigger conversation about league culture and professionalism. That's the real heartbreak here, not just for her, but for what could have been. And for every young player watching, this is your cautionary tale. Respect the contract. Respect the jersey. Respect your teammates. Because when you don't, the league will remember. ChatGPT said, the real legacy, what Bonner's choice says about the WNBA. At the end of the day, this isn't just about a player skipping out on a season. It's about trust being broken in a league that demands unity, respect, and professionalism more than most. In a sport where roster spots are precious and paychecks delicate, every decision carries weight, especially mid-season. What Bonner's choice actually shows: short-term comfort over long-term investment. She chose familiar ground and avoided the hard work of rebuilding trust in a new market. That's a luxury few players can afford, and it came with consequences. Undermining mentorship. Younger players, including Clark, count on veterans to show them the ropes. Bonner exited instead of coaching through adversity. Her best-case potential as a guide ended up wasted, revealed entitlement cracks. Not every retirement should create fireworks. In fact, the smoothest exits are quiet and autonomous, demanding Phoenix or no one else. That's not empowerment, that's ego, and it crushes a league that runs on mutual sacrifice. Phoenix's silence speaks louder than words. Phoenix's quiet decision not to claim her is bold. It's an unspoken rule enforcement, a reminder that the WNBA prioritizes healthy locker rooms and strong continuity over individual reshuffling. It sends a clear message to every player. You may have star power, but if you burn your bridges, you burn your career. What's in it for Clark and the Fever? For Caitlin Clark, this is more than a disruption. It's a spotlight. She's now at the forefront of carrying the build-up. The Fever can no longer rely on Bonner for, but make no mistake, she will carry it. Clark is becoming the de facto leader, whether she wants it or not. This morality play is her stage, and it confirms she's ready, not just to score, but to stand tall amid adversity. For the Fever, realignment is coming. Whether it's new signings, staff shakeups, or cultural reboots, Indiana has to pivot from damage control to growth mode. They can't stay pulled by Bonner's shadow. No team can build around that. What the WNBA should do next: establish new protocol for mid-season exits. Transparency standards, mandatory counseling, or career transition outreach could all help carve out healthier exit paths. Send a league-wide memo on culture values. Not that anyone betters freedom. This isn't about restricting movement. It's about protecting what gives this league its soul: professionalism, unity, and character. Support the players left behind. Clark, Fever teammates, and the locker rooms caught amid the drama deserve mental resources, open forums, and emotional validation. Their resilience is what allowed Bonner to walk away, not their failures. DeWanna Bonner's abrupt departure was a misstep, perhaps her final one. But more than that, it sparked a reckoning about what the WNBA values. Names don't define legacy, actions do. Leaving teammates behind, losing respect, and gambling on a roster restructure that never materialized. That's not how you close a career. And for the Fever, it's redemption time. They've now inherited an opportunity to prove that character outshines star relics, to elevate Caitlin Clark not just as a scorer, but as a symbol of resilience. The WNBA is watching. The fans are watching. And right now, this isn't just a team story. It's a test of what the league will be remembered for. If you want a frontline report on every WNBA twist and the raw truth about who built things and who burned them, subscribe. This saga isn't over, but this moment could define everything. The league should take this seriously. DeWanna Bonner isn't just a sorrow story. She's a symptom of talent being prioritized over tradition, of contracts without commitment. If the Fever don't rebuild, if the WNBA doesn't impose consequences and honor contracts, then what? Another veteran walks away. Another star is lost. Another opportunity wasted. It's up to the league to reaffirm its spine. And Clark? This should still be her moment. Not lost in headlines or confusion, but because she earned it on loyalty, resilience, and undeniable talent. Because if the league wants stars, it must believe in structure. No star is safe without foundation. So Bonner's fallout matters, not just for her legacy, but for the WNBA's future. And if you're ready to follow the arc closely, to demand accountability, this fight matters. Subscribe, because this story is way more than a mid-season exit. It may define the league.